a charming beauty, is lying on the bed in a seductive manner. But the man opposite seems not to notice, only focused on cooking. He first puts some garlic slices into the oiled pan, then sprinkles salt and pepper for seasoning. Once the garlic slices are fried until fragrant in the pan, he takes out the freshly boiled pasta, allowing the aroma of garlic and pasta to fully blend at high heat. Then sprinkles some chopped green onions for extra flavor. Finally, under the woman's impatient gaze, a plate of authentic pasta is freshly served. The man stylishly serves the dinner to the woman, and then leaves without looking back, because his purpose for cooking was never to spend the night with the woman, but to pursue the ultimate taste, and conquer the other's taste buds. As a 5-star chef with culinary perfectionism, Carl demands perfection in every dish he cooks. Pork belly must be fried until crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. Bacon must be grilled until crispy but not burnt. Even when making a quick breakfast for his son, he never cuts corners. He uses the back of a knife to spread butter on the bread, then grills it back and forth on the iron plate. After 2 minutes, he adds the pre-prepared cheese slices, while keeping an eye on the crispiness of the crust, so he can adjust the heat in time. Once the cheese is grilled to a golden, soft, and melted state, this breakfast sandwich is complete. Taking a bite, it's even stretchier than Spider-Man. His son's face is full of satisfaction. A chef who respects food like Carl naturally has a very decent job. He is the head chef of a popular local restaurant, with 6 assistants under his command. But he always likes to do things himself. From selecting ingredients to processing them, from cooking to plating, he does almost everything by himself. But this is not because Carl doesn't trust his staff, but out of a pure love for food. However, it is precisely this inseparable love that causes Carl's life to drift further and further away from happiness, because he is obsessed with work. His wife, who couldn't get his companionship, has parted ways with him. After the divorce, the two agreed that Carl would take his son to the amusement park every Saturday morning. Yet today, he is late as usual, and the planned amusement park trip has turned into a grocery shopping trip at the market. Because tonight, a food critic is coming to the restaurant to review it. Carl must buy fresh ingredients in advance. To welcome this famous critic, Carl has specially prepared many creative new dishes. However, the restaurant owner walks in at this moment. He orders Carl to just honestly make the signature dishes to serve the guest, and not to try any strange, innovative ideas in the restaurant. Seeing his creativity and hard work rejected makes Carl very dissatisfied. But since the other person is his boss, Carl has to comply and make the same signature dishes he has made for 5 years. And this is not the first time the boss has done this. Whenever Carl wants to innovate his dishes, the usually absent boss suddenly appears to force him to make the same old signature dishes. Just because the signature dishes attract more customers, Carl feels that his relationship with his boss is like a street performer and the skeleton puppet in his hand. Although it sings and dances to catch everyone's eye, but in essence, he is just a puppet being manipulated, unable to follow his own heart. In the evening, Carl and his colleagues went to a bar. While waiting for the food critic's review, he originally thought his signature dish should not have any major problems. Unexpectedly, the other party gave a bad review directly, saying Carl lacked imagination and had run out of talent, and did not know how to innovate boldly at all. This made Carl somewhat unable to accept it, because he could have made dishes that were creative and tasted better, instead of the signature dish that even he himself disliked. After returning home, Carl opened his social media account and discovered that the food critic had tens of thousands of followers. The harsh review targeting him was being reposted everywhere. Looking at his signature dish that he had been making for 10 years, being belittled as worthless, and even becoming a laughingstock on the internet, Carl, furious, immediately typed a reply to the food critic. "What do you know about food? Even if good food is placed in front of you, you wouldn't recognize it." Unfamiliar with the software, he thought he was sending a private message, but accidentally posted it in the comment section, causing his remarks to instantly attract a large audience, gaining 2,000 followers overnight. And the food critic did not back down, immediately hitting back with very harsh language. The two publicly argued online, neither willing to give in, until Carl issued a challenge to the food critic. "Why don't you come again tonight? I have prepared a new menu for you, you jerk." This time, Carl was determined to make the other party eat and be convinced. He spent an entire day researching the new menu. Shrimp with sea urchin, secret sauce beef, roasting squab. Everyone who ate it praised it endlessly. Spicy, fragrant, and with an endless aftertaste. It's truly intoxicating. At dinner time, the restaurant was fully booked. Everyone came after hearing the news, all looking forward to seeing Carl show off his skills. And this was a rare occasion for Carl to find pleasure in his work, because he could finally cook the dishes he wanted to make. However, at this moment, that annoying boss appeared at an inappropriate time. He once again strongly ordered Carl to change the menu temporarily and go back to the signature dish. This made it hard for Carl to suppress the resentment in his heart. "Do you see what he wrote about me? I don't care he started it. I don't care. You are a chef, you are the head chef. This is the menu you have been cooking for so many years, and it is deeply loved by everyone. So you must follow this menu to satisfy the guests. You want me to cook the same food again? Exactly the same. Serve him the food he criticized heavily without changing anything? The main guests of the restaurant are not that critic. But the people who have been eating your food, they have been eating it for 10 years. Now you suddenly want to be an artist. Then go home and make it. The boss's repeated obstruction and denial finally pushed this usually long-suffering chef to his limit. Then you can make your signature menu. There won't be a head chef anymore. Let's see how tonight goes. In a fit of anger, Carl chose to quit his job. He carried 2 boxes of ingredients back to his home and used cooking as a way to vent the anger he had suppressed for so long. For Carl, the unchanging signature dishes were like shackles binding his soul. Only by cooking what he wanted at home could he find unbridled freedom. Meanwhile, on the other side of the restaurant, the assistants forced into action were in a panic. Lacking culinary skills, they couldn't even make the most basic signature dish. When the food critic saw what was served to him, it was the same signature dish he had given a bad review to last time. He immediately asked to speak with Carl in person, but was told by the boss that Carl had already quit. The food critic laughed unkindly after hearing this, and immediately pulled out his most powerful weapon, publicly mocking online that Carl had fled the scene, and didn't put any heart into his food. After seeing this message at home, Carl was absolutely furious. As the chef who loves food, what he couldn't accept most was an outsider claiming he didn't care about his food. Carl stormed into the restaurant and gave the food critic a piece of his mind. We have no grudge or acquaintance between us. Why do you have to write groundless bad reviews to attack me? Having lost control of his emotions, he even crushed the other person's cake in public. You don't do anything. What have you done? You just sit there, then eat, and then start complaining, just to get a laugh from everyone. Do you know how much effort I put into this food? Do you know how much all of our chefs have sacrificed? What do I have to sacrifice to please you? And then you smugly complain about my food. That is so hurtful. The more a person loves their profession, the more they care about others' opinions. However, some people can post comments without knowing the full story, stirring up a storm online, thereby denying the hard work someone has put in day and night, and even ruining their normal life. Sometime later, Carl hit rock bottom because someone recorded a video of his outburst and maliciously edited and spread it, causing Carl to go from a famous head chef to a social pariah. Almost no restaurant was willing to hire him anymore. Setbacks at work are inevitably accompanied by low spirits. Now, Carl had no heart to spend time with his son, always appearing distracted. Regarding this, his ex-wife suggested that Carl open a food truck, skipping the job hunting process, and the boss being his own boss. More importantly, he could cook according to his own preferred flavors. It just so happened that his ex-wife's ex-husband had an idle food truck that he could lend to Carl. But Carl's strong sense of pride did not allow him to easily accept charity from others. After declining his ex-wife's kind offer, a public relations friend called, suggesting that Carl take advantage of the buzz and ride the wave to participate in a reality show. After all, bad publicity is still publicity. But Carl just wanted to cook properly. He didn't want to get on stage and be a clown. In the days that followed, Carl spent his days drowning his sorrows in alcohol. The only person he could confide in was his current girlfriend, Molly. Molly pointed out that this chef job could not bring Carl happiness. It could not bring Carl happiness. Instead, it made him ignore many important things in life. For example, his son who has always craved his company. He needs you, Carl. I don't understand him. Kids his age are difficult. Then why don't you use this time to get to know him? I want you to be happy. But you are not happy. You will never be happy here. The girlfriend's heartfelt words touched Carl. Due to his busy work, he had indeed neglected his son a lot. So he decided to follow her advice and use this free time to spend more time with his son. So the two parted ways very rationally. The next day, Carl came to his ex-wife's house, ready to make up for the lack of companionship with his son. However, his ex-wife told Carl that she was planning to take their son back to Miami to visit his long-lost father. At the same time, she invited Carl to go along. This might be nice. For you, that is a place full of memories. That is where your son was born. And it is also where you got your first head chef job. Do you think my son would want me to go? He would definitely want you to. In the end, under his ex-wife's strong suggestion, Carl followed them back to Miami. This is where Carl started his career 10 years ago. And it is also where he met and got to know his ex-wife. It holds countless beautiful memories, which might help him clear up his current confusion. And this was also an important reason why Carl agreed to go. In the evening, the three of them came to his ex-father-in-law's bar. Following the dynamic music, Carl felt a long-lost vitality. His son also smiled, which was very rare. Here, Carl tasted an authentic Cuban sandwich. He marveled that it was as delicious as ever. But his ex-wife said, "It's not as good as the one you make." Carl was stunned after hearing this. Then his ex-wife took the opportunity to suggest that her ex-husband was also in Miami. The other party had a food truck that had been idle for a long time, and maybe he could borrow it. Only then did Carl suddenly realize that visiting his father in Miami was just an excuse, and his ex-wife's real purpose was to help him get out of the bottom of his life. Thinking of this, Carl no longer resisted this kindness, but gladly accepted his ex-wife's suggestion, and met with his ex-wife's ex-husband, a man who looked very much like Iron Man. Although he was not as wealthy as Iron Man, locally, he could be considered one of the top wealthy people. Even though there was a hint of sarcasm in his words, he eventually agreed to lend the food truck. It was this old truck in front of them. The degree of dilapidation was as if it had just been pulled from a scrapyard. The equipment inside was even more indescribable. No different from a pile of scrap metal. This time, father and son worked together, scrubbing it with strong detergent, cleaning the food truck from top to bottom together. However, while cleaning the cabinets, his son was still disgusted by the rotten fish inside. He threw it away along with the iron tray in complete disgust. Seeing this, the father ordered the son to pick it up. After all, the iron tray could still be used if washed clean. But the son found it disgusting and refused to do it no matter what. This made Carl a bit angry. The son had said more than once that he longed to work in the kitchen. Yet now he was being picky about the dirty and tiring work in the kitchen. "You said you wanted to work in the kitchen. This is the kind of work done in the kitchen, okay? We cannot throw the iron tray away." "Right, the work I wanted to do in the kitchen is cooking, not washing this. Pick it up from the trash can." "No, I washed your whole beat-up car. Why are you treating me like this?" Seeing the son run away, both angry and aggrieved, Carl realized he had been too harsh. But he also truly wanted to teach the child some lessons. After cleaning the iron tray by himself, Carl went to his son and apologized for his attitude just now. Like most parent-child relationships, after a big argument where both sides held their own ground, the father and son immediately returned to being on good terms. Carl took his son to the store to pick out kitchenware. Facing this rare opportunity to spend a long time together, both were a bit at a loss, while silently feeling a long-lost warmth in their hearts. It was a kind of happiness called companionship. Hearing that Carl had set up a food truck, his old friend Martin, who had just been promoted to sous chef, immediately dropped everything and traveled 4,000 kilometers from Los Angeles to Miami, willingly working as a helper for Carl. Brotherhood does not need too many words to prove it. Actions will provide the most definitive answer. After some discussion, they decided to make the Cuban sandwich the main product of the food truck. This required buying the freshest pork shoulder, then marinating it in citrus and lime juice for 12 hours. After marinating, it was slow roasted in the oven for another 12 hours, resulting in the most authentic Cuban roast pork shoulder. Crispy and fragrant, lean but not dry. Taking a bite, the son couldn't help but nod in praise. Next, the roast meat was sliced thin and seared again, then paired with 2 slices of bread and ham. After searing, 2 slices of cheese and pickles were added while hot, and mustard was spread on the back of the bread. Next was the most critical step, using a brush to coat the surface of the bread with butter, while also coating the iron plate with a layer. Finally, the sandwich was placed on the high-heat grill until the bread was golden and crispy, and the cheese slowly melted. Only then was this authentic Cuban sandwich considered complete. Cutting it into 3 equal parts, the 3 of them tried their experimental result first. Wow, it's amazing. This is the taste. The melted cheese danced leisurely on the tongue, paired with the aroma of meat and wheat, bringing immense satisfaction. Just like that, Carl's food truck officially opened for business. Soon, a large group of workers followed the scent. Looking at the bulging cheeks of this big guy, one could tell how good Carl's skills were. At this moment, the son wasn't paying attention and burned a sandwich. Carl asked him what to do, but the son still wanted to keep selling it. The next second, he was pulled aside by his father to be lectured. "Do you think this is boring?" "No, I like it. I like it too. All the beautiful things in my life come from this. I may not be able to do everything well in my life. I'm not perfect, and I'm not the best husband. I'm sorry, I'm not the best father either. But I'm good at this. Now I want to share this with you. I want to teach you what I've learned. I use what I make to enter people's lives. It keeps me going, and I love it. I think if you try it once, you'll love it too. Yes, chef. Should we sell that sandwich now?" "No, chef. If you love something, you should strive to do it to the absolute best of your ability, instead of just being sloppy and making the customers pay for it. This is the integrity of a chef who truly loves food." And also an important lesson. A father teaches his child in life. After spending the whole day together, the relationship between the father and son grew closer. Carl decided to go to the crowded South Beach tomorrow to test it out and see if there would be more customers willing to pay for their cooking. If sales went well, they would drive the food truck all the way back to Los Angeles. His son thought it would be a fun trip. So after getting his mother's permission, for the rest of the summer vacation, he would travel together with his father. Thanks to his good friend Martin's connections, the exterior of Carl's originally dilapidated food truck got a professional makeover. Just like that, a beautifully transformed food truck, basking in the glorious sunshine, drove all the way to South Beach. Martin's loud voice, the affordable prices on the blackboard, and the authentic, high-quality Cuban sandwiches soon had the food truck surrounded by tourists, and the small cash box was quickly stuffed full. People won over by the delicious food, took photos, and checked in. And before long, Carl's food truck gained a lot of attention. Even the local code enforcement officers were drawn in, and even pulled Carl in to take photos with them. The first stop of the food truck was declared a huge success. Next, they planned to head to New Orleans, which the son had been dreaming of day and night. The son recorded the stories along the way with his phone, and then posted them online in the form of short videos. With Carl's previous online popularity, the account instantly attracted a massive amount of attention and interaction. In addition, the son also took many 1-second videos of him spending time with his father, planning to edit and piece them together in the future as a precious memory for the father and son. Although Carl knew nothing about these things, he thoroughly enjoyed the happy moments spent with his son. After traveling for a day and a night, the food truck arrived in New Orleans. Summer mornings are always exceptionally pleasant and cool. There weren't many pedestrians on the streets yet, and it was too early to set up the stall. So Carl took his son to visit a century-old shop. They had the most authentic French beignet here, paired with a cup of Café du Monde coffee, to start a high-energy new day. This was a rare occasion where Carl took his son out, without being busy with work, focusing instead on his son's enjoyment of the food. As the two walked back to the food truck, chatting and laughing, they found that a long line had already formed. And the reason the food truck was so popular was all thanks to the son's marketing on social media. He posted content with a location tag on his social media account. Plus, Carl's previous viral fame created a new buzz online. You really are a little genius, kid. You're the one who brought everyone here, you know that?
Enjoy the vibes.
You are my new marketing manager. Soon, the food truck officially opened for business. It was another fulfilling and happy day. The image of a father and son working together also received praise from many customers. Being able to do what you want to do, while also counting money until your hands get tired, is a dream job for many people. Not to mention the blue skies and white clouds along the way, accompanied by family, friendship, and music. A relaxed life made Carl visibly more cheerful, and also brought the father and son closer together heart to heart. As the wheels rolled through more and more cities, the unique culinary memories of the father and son became more and more complete. Like the Texas barbecue in front of us. It is the result of chefs staying up all night, slow roasting for 18 hours. Because it was so delicious, it was often in short supply. Carl asked a local friend, and barely managed to get a few leftover slices. But as a chef who loves food, enjoying delicious food alone was never his style. Then Carl incorporated that hard-to-get Texas barbecue into his innovative menu. Here, there are no constraints from a boss, and inspiration for food is endless. Customers are also very happy to pay for it. Carl finally found his original passion again, while also regaining the family bond he had lost. At this moment, his ex-wife called. She sincerely marveled at how Carl was always smiling now. I saw online that you guys are having a blast. Of course. Do you know your son can use a grill now? I even had a drink. What did he say? He said he misses you. Tell him I love him so much. Dad even bought me a chef's knife. He said, I love you. What? I love you. I love you too. The end of marriage does not mean the end of love. At this moment, the two used their son to express their love for each other from the bottom of their hearts. Good times are always short. Soon the journey reached the final stop of the vacation. That night, the father spoke earnestly to his son. Just like the 1-second video you record on your phone every day, our lives are like that too. Pieced together from one journey after another. We will be going back soon, returning to our original lives. I will be busy running the food truck, and you will be busy with school. But I don't want you to feel discouraged when everything goes back to normal. I don't want you to be unprepared. But we can't keep doing this once summer ends, right? Okay? Okay. But we had a lot of fun. Everything we experienced is something no one can take away, right? And I feel like I really know you now. Alright, let's watch the show. Life is just like this. Even if we can't stop thinking about the journey, we must eventually return to our set path. But the scenery and stories along the way will become our lifelong treasures. Returning to that dark and simple rented room, everything in life seemed unchanged. But Carl's heart, because of this journey, had become warm and bright. Watching the video footage sent by his son, he felt incredibly fulfilled and happy. The wrong turns in his past career had turned his passion into shackles that bound him. Repeating the same steps every day, wanting to innovate but repeatedly being denied, living by swallowing his pride, working in a numb state. He had lost interest in everything. Until a sudden, unexpected trip turned him from a machine on an assembly line back into a chef who creates delicious food. But more importantly, through this journey, Carl reclaimed the family and love that had grown distant. And this was the new dish in the kitchen of his life, as well as the most delicious and healing thing in the world. Now, Carl is busy and happy, with crowds of customers coming every day to pay for his cooking. His ex-wife and son also come to help him on weekends. Suddenly, an unexpected guest appeared in front of the food truck. It was the food critic who had once had a conflict with Carl. But compared to the harsh insults of the past, this time, Carl spoke with him calmly. It turned out that the critic had seen online that Carl's food truck was a huge hit, and immediately had someone buy a portion for him. One bite was so delicious that it made him want to support Carl. But he chose not to post a review online, instead buying a restaurant space for Carl and handling all the business permits. From now on, he could decide on any menu he wanted. The only requirement was that when Carl created a new menu, he had to be the first to taste it. A business investment of hundreds of thousands of dollars was easily settled with a $5 sandwich. The world of a foodie is just that pure and simple. Half a year later, Carl had indeed created many innovative dishes. His relaxed state of life also made his life flourish. In the restaurant the critic invested in for him, Carl held a remarriage party with his ex-wife. The theme of the movie itself is not novel, but Carl's experience is easy to resonate with. In reality, we all encounter dissatisfaction at work to some extent, wanting to make a breakthrough but being restricted by various things, wanting to just leave but having concerns, lacking the courage to embark on a journey to find oneself, and only able to compromise with reality amidst reluctance and complaints. But this does not mean we are weak or incompetent, because we always have responsibilities and missions to shoulder. We are not like Carl, who was alone and unburdened, and we may not be able to afford a spontaneous trip. Changing jobs or environments sounds easy, but it may not necessarily solve the problem. I think the best way is to use this movie to adjust our mindset at the right time, add some relaxation to life, and value the family, love, and friendship in our lives, letting them become the delicacies that heal a tired soul. A dull life needs a little bit of relaxation.